Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back. I'm going to work on a linked list algorithm today. So in Visual Studio Code, we got index HTML, and I'm just main.js scripting, and we got main.js right here. So I'm using live server with Visual Studio Code, and right here in our console, I just open it up to the side so that when we do some examples, you can see it here. Let's start out with class. Let me actually close this one. Okay, class, then we call it node. And inside we're going to make a constructor. It's going to take two arguments, data and then next. Let's give it a default of null. Alright, and then the code block. Let me actually copy and paste this in. Okay, this data is data, this dot next is next. And that's it for our node class. So we just need this for now because we're gonna be reusing it several times. Underneath there, let's make the actual linked list. So class, let's give it a capital. Linked list. Constructor. No parameters, but let's, in our code block, do this dot head. And initialize it with null. So this is the beginning of our linked list. So under our constructor, what we're going to do is make multiple functions for our linked list. And we're going to be really manipulating this head, which is going to take in a node that has this obvious data and then a next. The next we're going to do eventually is put in another node that takes in data and so on, and that's how we link it and chain it like a linked list. So alright, let's make our first function in our linked list class. Let's call it insert first. Okay, it's going to take in a value, so I'm just going to put in val as the perimeter name, and in the code block, let's first create an instance of the node. So const new node. Prerequisites, I hope you learned about some basics of classes, and of course put in val, because that's the first parameter of a new node, which up here is actually called data, but we're just calling it val for our insert function. So we're going to push in, after that we're going to do this dot head equals and node, because we're inserting the first. So our first link of the linked list is going to be whenever we call on linked list dot insert first and then give it a value. So then it's going to push in this node into the head. So let me save that. And below here now, we got, what is it? Let's clean this up some. Okay, we got our first function in the linked list called insert first. So let's make it work. First, we got to make now an instance of the linked list class. So let's see, const, let's just call it list. equals new linked list, and give that a semicolon. Alright, so let's say list. Let's console.log it first. And say list. Save that. And what do we get here? Let me zoom in. So what comes up is just a head of null in our linked list. This is our instance. So let's go down, actually above here. And what we're gonna do is, let's work with the insert first method within the linked list. So what we do is list dot insert first, and let's give it let's say a string of first. If we save that now, let's see the changes in the console. Let me zoom in. Zoom. Alright, I'm going to hit save. And now let's look. You already see right here it says node. Let's look inside. We have the head. The data is first. Let's look inside the head. So data first, and next is null. Okay, so that's how we get started with our first function in the linked list. The next thing we want to do is, what if we want to insert a second, a third, a fourth? The first thing we have to do though is create another function that will get last. So then the last, we're going to look at what's the last node that was inserted, and then from there we'll push it in the next, another node, and it'll chain through there. Alright, that about covers it for the beginning, the first video. We're going to continue on in the next one. We'll make the get last and the insert next.